ADHD has been both a positive and a negative in my life. I have struggled with it, but coming out of it at the end, I can see its usefulness in my life. In the following speech, I'll be talking about what ADHD is and what it's like to live with it. What are the pros to having ADHD? And what are the pros to having ADHD in a workplace? Somewhere, hopefully, we'll all be very soon. So to start off, what is ADHD? What does ADHD even stand for? According to WebMD.com, ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, which is a condition you get which includes inattentiveness, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. So what does that mean exactly? Well, I've lived with it my whole life, and inattentiveness means you aren't able to pay attention to things, especially if you don't find them fun, if you don't find them engaging, if you think they're boring. It is impossible to pay attention to them. It is just literally impossible to do that. Impulsivity would mean, it's pretty straightforward, but like, here's an instance. I am in kindergarten. There's a slide, and I don't want to go down the slide. I want to jump directly off the slide. That's a bad idea. But because I have this impulsivity problem, I'm going to do it the second I think about it. I'm not going to give the thought as to, I'm going to jump off and probably hurt myself, because that's a long ways. Or I'm going to jump off and land on my friend and hurt both of us. Or I'm going to jump off and teachers are going to get mad at me because I just jumped off the slide you're supposed to go down. That is impulsivity. And hyperactivity, I'm sure everyone has seen. Anyone with ADHD has a crazy leg bounce problem or a wiggling problem, or they have trouble sitting for long periods of time. That's what hyperactivity means. So what has it been like living with ADHD? I remember as a child being slightly ostracized because I couldn't sit still. All my other friends could run around for a while, but then they get tired, they want to nap, they want to do something else, and I could just keep going. I specifically remember when I was very young, I would have games of tag, and my friends would enjoy tag, but they wouldn't want to play it forever, and I could just keep going. In fact, I'd get upset, I'd get really mad that they don't want to keep playing tag, and I wouldn't understand it. I can remember in 3rd grade, the teacher didn't really understand ADHD or ADD and what that meant. And I would get sent to timeout, or I'd get sent to the naughty corner, as they called it. It was just a table and a chair in the corner, simply because I couldn't stop wiggling in my desk. Not only that, but the inattentiveness led to me not understanding math very well. I'm pretty sure this is a thing for a lot of people, but especially with ADHD, I did not understand math. I didn't like it. And since I didn't like it, I never truly grasped it, and I never had a passion for it. So I remember having a horrible time trying to understand addition and subtraction because I didn't really care, and I didn't want to care. Same thing with multiplication and division. I remember feeling inferior to everyone else. Everyone else kind of got it pretty fast, and I had to go into special programs to try and understand how to do math. I remember having even more problems in middle school, trying to write a paper on history subjects or English subjects or a book we read that I didn't even like. If I wasn't into it, or if I didn't have a passion for it, or I didn't even find it fun, it was incredibly hard to finish, or to start, or to do a little bit of it all. Coming into college, I think I've finally gotten the grasp on it. I used to be a music major, which meant for 7 hours of the week, I'd have to lock myself in a room and work on music. That is really hard for people who don't have ADHD. So me having ADHD, it was incredibly difficult. I remember the first few times I tried it, very stupidly, I would try to do 3 straight hours, and then another 3 straight hours, and have 6 hours and be done for the week, even though there's another hour. I didn't want to do all 7. And that was just the dumbest idea ever. I remember hitting about 20 minutes and then just running straight into a wall, because what I was doing was something I wasn't interested in. And what it ended up leading to was me just leaving without having any practice minutes done and just being frustrated. Now that I've done it for 2 years, I've definitely developed a rhythm. If I don't find interest in it, I can still get it done and I can still do it, but I have to give myself little 15-minute breaks. So I'll do it for 15 minutes and then I'll have a break for 15 minutes. That makes it bearable. So what are pros to having ADHD? All I've really been talking about are the negatives. One thing I have discovered, and has helped me a lot, is you get this ability to have hyperattention, which is just incredible detail work, and incredible attention for pretty long periods of time. Here's a circumstance that illustrates that. As a child, a pretty young child, my parents would buy me train sets, the wooden train sets that kind of link together like puzzle pieces. And I loved trains. And my friends loved trains, and they would come over and we'd play with this train set. And they could play for maybe about an hour and a half, and then they'd want to go do something else. They'd want to go outside, they'd want to go watch a movie, they'd want to do just anything else. And I remember getting in fights because I wanted to keep going. And in fact, on the days where I was just by myself playing with these big wooden train sets, I could go for 6 hours straight. I could go even longer. The only thing that would stop me was someone would come in and wake me up from my trance and tell me it's time to eat, or it's time to go to bed, or we're worried about you. You've been sitting in the same spot for 6 straight hours. And I've really been able to funnel that now that I'm in college. If I can find a way to find something enjoyable, or to find it fun, or to make it fun, or make it enjoyable, or to make it something I have a passion for, then I can sit down and do it until it's done. Even if do it until it's done means 8 straight hours of work. I can do that. That is so helpful. And the ability to pay exceptional attention to detail. Some people have trouble paying attention to detail. But with this hyper attention ability, I can get into details that would otherwise be almost impossible to understand. Along with hyper attention, I get energy spurts. That is something that is so helpful in college. I will have sudden drives of energy, and if you use them correctly, you can get a lot done when you have this spurt of energy. What I've learned is, though, with these spurts of energy come long spurts of non-energy. So I need to take a nap. I need to go to sleep. So it's a lot of ups and downs. It's a lot of energy, and all of a sudden I'm exhausted and I need to lie down. But if you use the energy spurts correctly, it is so effective. Ways that ADHD can help in a workplace. I've understood that when you have ADHD, and this is me, you have these people-pleasing tendencies. And people will talk about the negatives of that, but honestly, in a workplace or in a job interview or at any sort of place in business, pleasing people is so important. And being able to do that and have it come naturally is incredibly important. And this is something people with ADHD carry naturally. Another thing is I have a hard time not talking. So conversation, especially networking, going to any sort of networking event or just talking to people and getting contacts is so easy for me because I can just talk forever. I would love to talk about anything. So networking with people with ADHD is wonderful. And again, the hyperattention thing comes hugely into effect in workplace. If you can find a career that you are passionate about, or you can find a job that you're passionate about and you find fun, you are in the clear. You can pay attention so well. A lot of leading specialists or people in the top of their field with ADHD are there because they have a love for what they do, and they can pay incredible amounts of detail for way longer than other people can, simply because they have this hyper-attention ability. So, in conclusion, ADHD is something that shouldn't be seen as a negative as much as it can be a positive. I've noticed recently, as I've been starting to pay attention to it more often, ADHD is kind of given a very negative vibe and a negative light, and especially in the media. It's something to be afraid of, it's something that you have, you're inferior, and I don't agree with that. After living through it for 20 years, I can see its uses. It gives you hyperattention, it gives you amazing detail abilities, it gives you these great energy spurts. You are a great conversationalist, a great person being social, a great networker, a great people pleaser. It is so helpful to have ADHD. And though there are negatives, you can flip those negatives around and use them for positives. So there are tons of pros, and there's tons of pros in work, as I was talking about. The people pleasing is huge. Conversation and networking is huge. Hyperattention to details that regard your work and have to do with your work. If you can pay attention for so long and with such detail, you can outcompete anyone else. ADHD is not a hindrance. It is, in fact, something that is great to have. It has taken me about 20-some years to figure this out, but I am blessed to have ADHD.